is the Rangers Journal Night.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal podcast. My name is Billy Rankin, and I think today is the 19th of August, if I'm right. We're here to talk about all things Rangers, especially go over the events of the weekend and some other news as well. But I'm doing that tonight with my two guests, and we hope Scotty's going to join us as well. But at the moment, it's Ricky. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, thank you, Billy. A bit better now after. I mean, I've looked on Saturdays. We'll get into it. It's a bit negative, really. I thought, but in hindsight, there's probably more positives than what there was negatives. But you know, we'll discuss that as we go on in the next hour or so.
And Cammy, yourself, how are you, mate?
I'm good. As we said before we went live, hopefully another couple of trips to Hampden, then we can get back home. But I've just actually realised this is my wedding anniversary today. I did actually obviously realise before I went live, but I've got a very understanding wife that she's allowing me to record tonight.
Well, pass on a regards to her. I'm sure we're all happy for you being here, mate. And happy anniversary as well. Then, by the way, how many years is that?
Lucky for some, 13.
No, I've just passed my 13th as well the other week there. So good company. Well, look, Cam, I'm going to come back to you because you kind of came on in a pre-chat with some breaking news, and you alluded to it there. It's been kind of posted on a few well-known Twitter accounts that the final shipment, or whatever we call it, that we're needing to finish Ibrox to get back home has arrived. What have you heard?
Well, it's just, I think Ricky had also said, you know, somebody had pictured the shipment, consignment, whatever you want to call it, when it had arrived at Southampton over the weekend, and it was marked for Rangers Football Clubs, which, you know, great. It's in the UK. And it appears it's arrived at Ibrox this afternoon, so that is all consignments now there. And the aspiration, as John Bennett put it, remains that they want us back in the stadium for the Hibs game at the end of September. So hopefully we're now in a position that the steelwork gets in place. We can get the crane off the playing surface. We can start working on the playing surface and on the work that needs to be done in the Cortland stand over the next few weeks. Still a tight window, but certainly helpful that it appears that everything is now in situ at Ibrox, and I'd imagine social media will see updates across the next few weeks and days and weeks to hopefully we're nearing the end of this debacle.
Mm-hmm. And did you mention earlier on how long the pitch refurb might take? Again,
only going on those people that know more about these things than me, 2 to 3 weeks apparently. I think it's maybe the 6-yard box at the very most. I don't think it's covering it's no like, I think some people have thought it's the whole 18-yard box, and you've obviously got the bit behind the goal line and what have you, which makes it look probably more than it actually is, you know. So 2 to 3 weeks, what we're at the 19th, you're what, five and a half weeks until the game against Hibs, you know. So I would say that if we can get everything off the pitch by the end of this month, I think the pitch will be fine, because certainly the images I've seen of the rest of the surface, it's as bowling green as it always is, you know. So it's just about fixing that area. And to be honest, Billy, I remember Liverpool when they've added the tier to their stand last season at the Anfield Road end, and it was pretty much to their 18-yard box. In the first game that they played, you didn't even notice that there had been anything on it. So I would imagine that the work will be ongoing on and off the park over the next 4 or 5 weeks. But it's all positive. It's good to have something positive to actually look forward to.
Yeah, Ricky, it really can't come soon enough, can it? Because it's just not the same playing at Hampden.
No, it's ridiculous. I mean, that game on Saturday, I know there was sort of suggestions that fans were voting against a sort of a current sort of a state of play, Ibrox. the sort of rebuild isn't really happening the way people expect it to happen. And to be honest, it really is understandable, but it's not showing our club in great light when you've got, was it 23,000 supposedly at the game, albeit it was a cup game. Maybe you can understand that because it's not a natural ticket with the season ticket holders. You have to pay extra money for that. So perhaps that's, but it's just not good to see our club. We're an institution, and, given any other day, Hampden would be full, or near as damn it up there. But it was just quite sad to see it. So to get back home, just can't come quick enough. And as I was saying to Cammy just offline there, Scotty, there only is one more league game left if that is the case. And that's this Saturday against Ross County. One more home game at Hampden would be the cup game, as Cammy sort of alluded to there, in the cup towards the end of September or the weekend before, hopefully move back home. So that's all, very well. And as Cammy said, if it is just the sort of 6-yard line going across the whole of the kind of the Ibrox there, that's an area that could be quickly relayed anyway, if they can't sort of knit it together. That, worst case scenario, that bit of grass could be brought in and relayed. So I don't think the grass will be the problem. And now that all the consignments there, everybody working 24/7 potentially, very, very good news, and certainly optimistic now that we'll get back home for the end of September, but you can't wait. Need to get the Ibrox boys back together, because the crowd is such a big difference to the team, to give them that little bit of edge, because at the moment everybody's against the team at the moment. Let's face it, it's just not a good period. So we do, as Cameron said, we need some good news, and getting back home is the start of that good news for me.
Good stuff. Cammy, did you make it to Hampden at the weekend? I know you're usually there.
Yes, I take the cup ties as a good opportunity to take the wee man. He's just football daft, and he doesn't quite grasp the sort of the negativity and all that sort of stuff. To be 6-7 year old again, and you just want to go and see your team. And I think you might have seen on my social media that we had he bumped into Nico Raskin and Cortez before the game, and he's just like me in that regard. Loves a picture with a player, but he's got a bit of history with Nico, that he'd met him before and he got a fist bump and all that sort of stuff. So that set us off, and the cup ties are a good opportunity. As much as I'm no I lover of Hampden, there is good seats in Hampden. There's just no as many good seats as there is inside Ibrox. So we were sitting in a good seat in the south stand, lower section, pretty much hand-picked, because you knew that there wasn't going to be a big crowd, so you knew you could have your pick of it, But 5:45 kick-off, it's no great. It's no great. The next round against Dundee, you could face that situation again. I think a big factor for it is the no continuous credit card, that it's not automatically. I think when people are, especially when things are going a wee bit up and down on the park, when people have to do something themselves, and it's not just automatic walking up with your smart card and the 30 quid comes off your account, that takes 10,000 off the crowd straight away for me. And Hampden's one of these stadiums that it needs to be full. It's just, it's quite, you walk in and the whole of the east stand's completely empty, But I went along, had a good night. Wee man loved it, and we won into the draw, and we got a clean sheet. So
Ricky, let's talk about the game. Sorry, Cam.
No,
sorry, mate. Ricky, I was going to come back to you. Let's talk about the game now. I'm not going to go through the starting lineup, but it was good to see Danilo back in the squad. How did you feel he got on in the first half?
I think Danilo still has to prove an awful lot. He's a £6 million player, and if we're all going to be honest here, before he got his injury, the head injury, getting that goal, little bit like Dessers, he'll only take a chance in every 6 or 7 or 8. This is a Brazilian we brought in with a lot of pedigree, and he doesn't look at the moment to be a great finisher. I really hope I'm wrong. And dare I say, at the moment, Dessers is a far better option. But Dessers cannot be the only man going to carry us forward. He needs some competition up there. At the moment, Dessers just doesn't have that competition. He lacks a finish as well. People are sort of talking about a 3, 4, 5, 6 million pound player. What do you want for that? Well, you want somebody that's going to put the ball in the back of the net when you get a 6 million pound player. And there's only so much for me that Danilo is going to get this sort of a luxury of fitting back into the team. At what point do we sort of say he's still injured, he's still not fit? To me, he's had a full pre-season, never in the team, so potentially he has still been carrying an up, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's a mental issue with him. It's got to be physical. But at what point are we going to get the Danilo that's 100% fit that is going to be that £6 million player? But which I unfortunately for me, I don't know whether we're ever going to see that £6 million player. And in current form, Dessers is a better option. And Dessers has his issues as well, So it was good to see him back, Billy. Don't get me wrong, but you need to get minutes into the legs, and they got the first 45 minutes, which was good. So let's move on to the next game. But Dessers changed that game for us. I'm not going on to the team itself before the rest of the boys come in. I was very, very disappointed with Tav. He's not off an end at all. And again, we were giving him all this luxury of he's been injured. At what point is he not injured? He's still sort of getting in there as our club captain, and this needs to be looked at and addressed and a decision made. Is he going to be staying? Because at the moment he's not contributing. As like Dowell, I think wasn't very positive at all on Saturday. And I think a lot of that was to do with Tav not being on his game. Dowell doing a lot of covering. I may be wrong, but I went into that game on Saturday with a lot more expectations, and that's why I was a little bit low at the end of the game, because I just felt as St Johnstone, we should have been a lot better. They should have scored 2 goals in the first half. St Johnstone, if they're going to hit the post. One was 6 yards out, and the boy smacked it. He never caught his shot right, but it could have been 2 goals down against St Johnstone. And that's why I was just a little bit negative. I'm feeling a bit better now, don't get me wrong, but I went into that game with a little bit more optimism, and it just didn't get there for me. So hence why I was a little bit down with the display. But there was positives. I can talk about that a little bit later.
Well, let me introduce the aforementioned Scotty. How you doing, mate? Thanks for joining us.
Aye, not bad at all, mate. Not bad at all. Thanks for having me, Billy. Sorry for my lateness. It was unavoidable.
That's all right. We're just glad you're here at all, mate. That's good. Yourself, mate. Stay with you, Scotty, on Danilo. I was just happy to see him get minutes, because I was worried during the week when he didn't come on in the European game that he actually still was injured.
Listen, Danilo is right. There's a lot of mitigating circumstances around this player, right? He's come in for a big fee, but it's not his fault to get his face mangled when he went up for a header, and it's not his fault to get his knee mangled away at Tynecastle either. None of them are his faults. He's not an injury-prone player. I thought Danilo looked really good in the first half. I liked his movement. I liked his touch. There are a couple of chances he could have finished. But see, for a guy that's not played since the defeat away to Birmingham, I thought he'd done all right, to be fair. I get Ricky's point saying we could have been 2 down, but we could also have been 5, 6 or 7 up in the first half. I take that performance as a real positive and a real step forward going forward for Rangers, because we found plenty of space. But sticking with Danilo, I don't want to drift away from any of your question, Billy. Sticking with Danilo, it's like a man. It's going to be a bit of patience, persisted, and we're lucky that Dessers has managed to score 3 goals in 5 games, because see, when I seen him, was it the Ajax match in pre-season, I thought, oh no. Genuinely, I was frightened about our options up front, but he's shut me up. The big man's come out. He took his goal well in the second half, and overall, I think all we can take for that performance on Saturday's positivity. That's all I've took for it anyway, to be honest with you, Billy.
Yourself, Cammy, are you in Ricky's camp or Scott's camp with the positivity side?
I was pleased to see him back. I'm slightly different for Ricky. I think mentality is an issue with him. I genuinely think he looks a guy that, see if one of the chances had hit the back of the net, I think it would do him the world of good, because he looks to me as a player that's still trying to find his rhythm, find his feet. He's not played a lot of football across the pre-season. Hasn't started or hasn't came on in any game. So I was just pleased to see him back. I thought he done okay. You know, I mean, I was expecting an hour at the very most from him. So if he's came through 45 minutes without any niggles or anything like that, you want to get to this game on Saturday against Ross County and have the game won by 60, 65 minutes and then give him the last 25 minutes.
Mhm.
You know, I just think it's going to be a slow burner with him, but he had a hellish first season with 2 injuries that were nothing that he could do about. But I think confidence, is an issue with him, as well as getting his sort of sharpness back.
And just kind of taking the first half, I'm with Scotty with this. I thought we were really positive, created a lot of chances, and it was just, I mean, Matondo could have had 1 or 2, just his last finish, his last touch kind of lets him down. Obviously, Danilo had 1 sitter that I remember off the top of my head, but straight to the keeper. But who's impressed me recently is Jeffy, actually, Cammy. Can you tell me what you think about how he's going to come on? Because he can show he can play on the left, really anywhere on the left.
I mean, I think he's obviously. I thought him and Matondo linked really, really well particularly in the first half. I thought they done well. I think there's still an end product issue with Matondo, but that's an issue with them all. Jeffy, for me, has done okay. I think he looked a bit dodgy pre-season, but I think he's only a young guy. I think the manager keeps talking about that, and I think he's your left back when you go across the city in a couple of weeks' time. So he's had a couple of positive performances. Obviously, the unfortunate red card, but I think he's done okay. And I thought him and Matondo showed real signs of promise. And you can only take a positive from that and try to build from it.
Ricky, the manager came out after the game, was very positive about him and saying what a great find that he was, and reminding us he is still young, but he did what I was at the Man United game, and I didn't think he looked particularly great from sitting at the stands anyway. But I know it's different when you're watching the game live or watching on TV. But how's he done for you since the season started? Take out that red card, which I think we agree probably shouldn't have been a red.
No, you're real positive, Billy. And you go back to the game up in Edinburgh, just settled into the new country, new team, new teammates. He's like Barron. He is definitely the future of our team. I mean, he's 21 years of age, Barron 20, and there's oodles of people at that kind of age. Diomande, young boy, Cortez, young boy. We've got a good future if we can get these boys blended and playing to their potential. That is a real good positive for me, But what I did like about Jeffy, especially when he came on over in Lublin, was his attacking prowess when Redvan was playing at left back. So he's got options; he can do both, So he would be a great alternative to Cortez, who again we're desperate to get that boy playing because he's a player. Cortez is an absolute mustard player, and we injuries with him again. We need to get him going, don't we? But to have him and Cortez and potentially Redvan, who again, it's the negative, I suppose. I'm not convinced with Redvan. If I could, I would let him go and get somebody who's a bit more of a defender in there, as opposed to. I think he's susceptible because of his height. He gets brushed off quite easily. And again, it's an awful lot of money for somebody who just gets brushed off, gets off the ball. But again, that's me being negative. I just keep on looking at this rebuild, and the full-back areas right now are the kind of 2 areas I think need to be addressed before the window closes. We ain't bringing them up top, guys, in my opinion, because Danilo's now back. We've got a Agami to come back in. Dessus is starting to, get a good chin out of that lad. So we ain't strengthening up top. If need be, they'll maybe try and get that number 8 in there if they can. A Cantwell replacement, a Hadji replacement. Every one of them should go. But the full-back areas, I think, are a must for me. I don't know what the rest of the boys think, but I think if we're going to be spending any money, it's that areas that I think we need to be looking at. But Jeffy is one good player, and thankfully we've got him now, and he'll do a job for us going forward.
Scotty, one thing Ricky was saying there about Ridvan, it's something that I've been thinking. Like, he has a couple of games and he gets injured. Is he just not going to be suited to play in our league?
I don't know. I mean, he's picked that injury up just for hitting a shot. So
Is that not the second time he's done that?
Again, but it's circumstantial. Is it the way he's striking the ball? I mean, I can't really be bothered getting into the ins and outs of sports science and movement and all this type of stuff. I'm picking up enough injuries just now when I'm out my jogs at night. That's why I was late at night. But he's not. I don't think he's ever going to get that kind of run in the team he needs. That's him had his pre-season now, and he's picked up an injury that's going to put him out for another 5-6 weeks. So it's yet another stop-start season for Ridvan Yilmaz, isn't it? The good thing is he's still got a decent enough reputation, so we can still get our money back for him. But I can't see him leaving during this transfer window, Billy. I would just begin the jersey to Ryan Fraser and Hefty and just letting them fight out for it. Jeffy's come in, he's settled, he's hit the ground running, unlucky in the Champions League to get sent off. Very, very good start his Rangers career though. Him and Connor Barn are probably our two best signings on evidence so far. But I keep saying, but if this is where we are as a club just now, then, and if left mid is going to be an issue, then you need to move him up and you need to give Ryan Fraser a go at left back. See if this is where we are as a club, you need to give these youth players a chance. And this is an opportunity for Ryan Fraser to come in and kind of put his mark in the team, because I think he deserves it, if I'm being brutally honest.
No, we can either be negative and go or lamenting the old days of being able to go out and sign, a left back or something for 5, 6, 7 million, but we're not in that position anymore. We're left with. See what I will agree with. I do think there's something in the right back position that needs. If Tav gets sold, then we need another right back to come in. I don't think that's an area we can go with Devine and Sterling, because Sterling's not durable and Devine's been able to be seen off pre-season. He's been in the B team, so we would need a replacement for Tav. I just hope whatever's going on with Tav can kind of begin to fix itself, if that makes any sense. I hope this isn't the Tav we're going to see all season. I hope it's just a slow start of the season for Tav. Well, we can move on to the second half. I mean, we kind of get a few chances, Cammy, but then we do get the breakthrough. But again, we can't just have a goal and it be normal, can it? It's always got to be some controversy with our goals. What was your take on the Dessers opener? I
didn't see. I mean, obviously watching it live at the game, I didn't see anything wrong with it. It's like I'm throwing the wee man up in the air. Dessers has scored. It's and then obviously gets pulled back, and then the decision takes. It feels like it takes forever. That's my biggest issue with regard to VAR, and I know we've had a lot of conversation within our own group chats with regard to it. But the right decision was and the right decision came in the end, and we were 1 up. I mean, we'd had maybe 5, 6 great opportunities before that. I was just worried the longer it stayed 0-0 that we just got that goal and hopefully we kicked on for it, but a controversial goal, and you could obviously see Craig Levine and his assistant doing their dinger on the touchline, which is always nice to see.
What I was going to ask you, did you hear the whistle when it went? No,
I just saw Dessers chopping and battering it at the back of the net. To be honest with you, it's right. I genuinely didn't hear anything at the game. I know there's some people have said they did, some people have said they didn't. I'm very I'm just watching the ball getting played through and the action from Dessers to finish it. So I'm just pleased that the goal stood eventually.
And Ricky, what was I going to say? That this referee is this. I think I'm right in saying this is the referee with the St Johnstone game where he had to go and have VAR for 2 penalty decisions. He's got some decision-making issues, I think, or he's certainly seen things on the park that aren't actually what happened in real life.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young lad and he's got to learn by his mistakes. You know, you got to give the boy, you know, some sort of a credit. He's a Grade 1 referee and he's came through the system. And within our referees association, he's good enough to ref these games. And we just got to go on with that. But what I found, rightly or wrongly, if he deemed that the big lad, their centre half, fouled Dessers, he should have blew up straight away and made it a foul, irrespective whether the play went on and Dessers scored the goal. If he felt it was a free kick, it should have been given to a free kick there and rightly or wrongly. If it was, however, a foul on Dessers, then you play the advantage. And then obviously Dessers goes away and he scores a goal. So at the end of, but I think the kind of problem lies, or the controversy lies with, did he blow that whistle to call up? Because to me watching it in television, it looked as if it was a free kick. And it looked to me as if he was given a free kick because the way the boy sort of fell as Dessers was trying to win the ball. Obviously in hindsight, VAR cleared that up and it was a perfectly legit good goal. But going back to the original incident, the referee, the way he saw that, the way I think he saw it, it was a free kick to the St Johnstone player, and they should have blown up. If that's what he thought.
Thanks for that. I'm going to bring in Gary, our qualified referee. How are you doing tonight, Gary?
Very good, mate. Evening, lads.
Hi, Gary.
Thanks for coming on. You join us just at the kind of right time as we're talking about the Dessers goal. Can you tell us from a refereeing standpoint, tell us what happened, and then tell us what should have happened, and you know, go through the incident for us.
Okay, so basically what Matthew, the ref, did was pretty much spot on as per the procedure. So the ball comes into Dessers and there's a coming together collision. The referee thinks it's a foul on the defender. So his only mistake was signalling. He didn't actually blow the whistle till the ball hits the net. So I've listened to it back a few times, and the whistle doesn't actually go. He signalled a little bit prematurely for the free kick. He's put his arm up. But other than that, he's allowed advantage as per the protocol when there's VR in play. So he's let the attacking phase of play continue. So that would continue until the goal's scored, the ball goes out for a goal kick or a corner, or the ball's cleared, in which case, at the end of the other two scenarios that happened, they would just blow up for a defensive free kick and just restart play from there. As a goal scored, it then goes to VAR to check if his original suspicion of a foul on the defender was the case. As it obviously turns out, it wasn't, and so the goal was awarded. So he's done the correct thing in letting it play out. So, Ricky, I saw you mention why is he not blow up straight away because he thinks it's a foul on the defender. Just think about it in the context of offside. You know how ball's played through, the linesman thinks it's offside but lets the play continue until such times the ball's cleared or a goal scored, and then the flag goes up. It's the same principle as that, effectively. You don't want to be preventing a goal based on an error, which it would have been in this case. So he's done the right thing. And just by sheer chance, I think it was yesterday in the Premiership in England, Eze of Crystal Palace scored a good goal. It was a cracking free kick, but he sees a Palace player which he thinks has committed a foul on the edge of the box, and he's blew the whistle as the ball was actually in flight. And as it turns out, when you see the replays, there was no foul, so the goal should have stood. So if he just delayed the whistle a little bit, they went to a VR review and the goal would have stood. So he's actually prevented the goal, a perfectly good goal, by being a bit too eager with the whistle. So Matthew on the Rangers game has done exactly the right thing.
Thanks for kind of going through the rules there, Gary. But do you suspect what I mean? You've been on the park yourself. What do you think the referee saw in that collision?
See, to be honest with you, mate, first time watching, I was watching on TV, and even maybe the second or third replay, I still thought, yeah, this is a foul on the defender, because it really takes a few different angles and it's slowed down a hell of a lot to notice this. You've got to take into account the stride pattern, because even if the defender stood on Dessers' foot, but Dessers has put his way in of the defender in his path, then that would still be a defensive foul, because he's essentially made an item for the defender to slip on or tread on. Whereas, when you watch it back a few times, you see the defenders took a little step deeper, and that's what's caused them to stand on Dessers' foot and caused them to fall. So I think it takes maybe 3 or 4 good looks from different angles to suss out exactly what's going on. Obviously, there'll be a bit of bias. Like Rangers fans watching will think, obviously, there's no foul, and every other fan or St Johnstone fan will think, yeah, there's definitely been a foul there. It shouldn't be a goal. But when you watch, it takes a good few looks to get definitively and objectively right, I think.
I'm going to open up to the boys if they wanted to ask you any questions as well, Gary. But one thing crossed my mind is and I'm not going to bring up old incidents, but just the one that came to mind was when Morelos scored, and it was judged to be a foul on Alistair Johnson, I think it was, and Kevin Clancy blew the whistle before the ball goes in the net. Should he have waited on that occasion? Is that a similar kind of occasion that he should have let?
Exactly, yeah, and that kind of shows the error of that, because when you watch it back, there's no foul. It's kind of Johnson's a little bit out-muscled, and then sort of that throws himself to the ground a little bit to try and buy the foul. The referee bought it at the time and blew up a little bit too eagerly. If it just gives the chance for the play to fizzle out, or the ball ends up in the back of the net, goes to a VAR review, and the goal's probably coming in. So yeah, that's kind of a prime example of what not to do.
I'll come to you, Scotty, then, because I heard you say you want to come in.
Aye, Gary, is there any big rule changes this season during that just football in general?
There's sort of 5 sort of main ones. There's a couple of them are just technical things that probably never even occur to you guys watching the games. I'll run through them quickly and I'll focus on the main 2 that I think you might actually see a difference. So on penalties, it's kind of frustration of fans. You see it at corners sometimes, but in penalties as well, the ball was barely the arc of the ball. It's kind of touching the penalty spot, and most of the balls outside it. That's not going to be the case now. It's got to be more central in the penalty spot, and it can't really just be sitting outside and overhanging the penalty spot. So a really basic one, but it kind of takes away the annoyance from fans a wee bit. Only captains, you would have seen this in the Euros quite a fair bit, but only captains should be speaking to the referees in sort of controversial situations. Now, the referee can make a judgment call on this in the game. If it's a fairly easy-tempered game, nothing really controversial, we'll probably chat away with other players as well. But if there's any high-intense moments, you'll see them come and explain to the captain, and it's up to them to explain to the team, just to prevent all these kind of confrontations and players surrounding the referee. There's the permanent concussion subs. So there was temporary ones previously, but there's now permanent ones. So even in some games, you might see up to 6 or 7 substitutes. I think it has extra time as well. So it's a big impact if teams don't have big squads, or it'll be a big benefit if teams have bigger squads, basically. Sort of 2 that might figure, and I think there's one quite prominent. If you think back to Rangers Napoli in the Champions League, encroachment at penalties. I think there might even been one we discussed last season on here. It was the Rangers Hibs game. So any encroachment is only going to be taken into account if it impacts the play. So if it's a goalkeeper, but there's a goal scored, obviously the goal continues. But if it's players on the edge of the box, if it's an attacking player, he jumps the mark a little bit. They got the goal scored, but or there's a rebound, but the ball goes out the other way. It's not going to be blown up against. Just play continues as normal. So there's no advantage gained from it effectively. If there's no advantage, play continues. And what was written down? Because I forgot. Yeah. So denying a goal by handball. So previously there was a guy in the goal line, and he's kind of the goalkeeper's been beaten already. Ball's going in the net, but his hand's by his side, but his arm blocks it. That would have been a red card previously. It won't be a red card anymore unless it's a deliberate act. He's actually actively put his hand out to stop the ball. If it's an accidental handball, but it's denying an obvious goal, it won't be a yellow card this season.
Is the offside rule? They seem to change the offside rule every season. Is there any changes to that?
No, there's no major changes. I think with VAR, they're going to implement thicker lines. So it gives a little bit more leeway. So there's no like a toenail catching somebody offside. It's not as much a toenail anyway, but the line's a little bit thicker. But in terms of Scotland, you're kind of limited to the angles a little bit because of the setup of the stadiums and the technology. So you'll still get kind of these weird decisions when you're looking at it from an angle. You can't tell whether it's offside or not.
Right, cheers, Gary.
Ricky, you were wanting to ask Gary something?
Yeah, it was just reference the incident on Saturday with the controversial goal, Gary. It's coming together, fine. It went our way, and you've explained that, nice and easy for likes of me to understand. But did the boy merit a yellow card for that? We got the goal. I mean, the
Do you know,
guy didn't go in there. I mean, a lot of us actually thought it was a foul to them, and then obviously VAR overruled that, which was great for us. But do you think he deserved a yellow card for it?
to be honest, Ricky, I didn't actually know he got a yellow card. I had my little daughter with me, so I wasn't 100% focused on the game. So yeah, I didn't actually know he got a yellow card. I wouldn't have said so. It's an accidental coming together. I wouldn't have said the yellow card was merited. The only thing I could think of it would be under denying a goal scoring opportunity within the penalty area, but it didn't actually deny the goal scoring opportunity. So I don't see why a yellow card would be merited. I would have said that was incorrect. Just goal awarded or penalty if the play hadn't continued, but I don't think there's any need for a yellow card in either instance.
Yeah, I felt it was a bit unjust, a bit, just wanted to sort of try and clear that up.
I think actually, Ricky, he was arguing with the referee after it. That might be why he got the yellow card rather than for the tackle. But I don't know for there's a comment there. I don't know for definite. Cammy, did you have anything to go to Gary?
I'm just if Gary, we can arrange a Teams call with you and my wee boy, because all the rule changes are, particularly the penalties and the corner, like that's a total pet hate of mine with regard to the ball barely touching the penalty spot and stuff. But it's every day's a school day, so it's been that was very informative, Gary. So thank you for that. But no, I think in layman's terms, as you've explained everything, I think obviously I was at the game. I think it would benefit the broadcasters to have a referee. I mean, I know certainly down south it's a common thing that the referee can actually, Gary Neville's talking about it, and then Mike Riley or Mike Dean or somebody jumps in and explains why something's happened. I think that's something that, for those people watching at home, I think it would certainly be an enhancement, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree, to be honest. I think the problem you'd face up here is you know what it's like. If a referee gives an opinion that's not the way the fans watching, they think he's automatically a Rangers fan or Celtic fan. You're always going to get the accusations of bias either way up here. But I think it would be good, because a lot of the time it's kind of objective rules and people don't know the rules, especially I noticed on commentary Michael Stewart going on for about 15-20 minutes after it, and he was completely wrong. So I think just making sure the pundits are informed, first of all, would be a major benefit, and so they're not actually stoking any of these conspiracy theories that go on just by their lack of knowledge. I think that would be a step in the right direction, but definitely if there's any ex-retired referees would be willing to do it. I think Bobby Madden flirted with the media side for a little bit. Like, he'd be an ideal guy to come on and do it. He's been at the top level and he'll still be keeping in touch with the rules and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it would definitely have a benefit.
Maybe Michael Stewart can go on one of those referee courses, perhaps.
Do you know, Ricky, he'd probably turn up and think he could take the course. He's that kind of character. He's not well liked amongst us lot either, don't worry.
Well, thanks very much, Gary. I don't think nobody else has raised their hands anyway, but thanks for coming on explaining the breakdown of the goal, and thanks very much for giving us those rules update, mate. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, mate. Well, Scotty, I'll come back to you, mate, because we weathered a wee bit of a storm towards the end of the game, because St Johnstone had a really, I'm not going to say sitter, but a really good chance in the last few. My one injury time, I guess, not really the last few, because it was 8 minutes added on, but I think it was like 92, 93 minutes. They had a great chance. Was it squeaky bum time for you there?
When I seen them in Butland to make a save, there was a bit of a goal mouse scramble type thing.
Yeah.
I was a wee bit surprised that it came to be honest, that they'd actually managed to get a chance. But then when I seen wee Ross get up the park and finish his chance, like a minute later, I was like, thank God we needed that goal, because if that game had finished 1-0, the hysteria would have stayed there, if you know what I mean? Whereas a 2-0 makes everybody feel a wee bit better, changes that narrative I keep on talking about. There's slight things that we can be doing on the park to change the narrative, and getting a comfortable 2-0 win with good attacking play is part of that, Billy. And
it was some finish, Cammy, wasn't it? That was I can't remember. Was it Messi-esque? Somebody in the comments made a comparison to a more well-known player, I guess.
I mean, I think it's great. We obviously discussed Ross McCausland 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think I spoke about when he gets the opportunity, last 20, 25 minutes of games, that's what he has to come on and do. And so I was really chuffed for him. You know, I think he's had some bright moments in the early part of this season. He's had some not so good moments at like middle of the in the midweek against Kiev. He wasn't decisive enough, but I think he's came on there. And for him to come on, and we spoke about his numbers last season, there you go, there's a goal. You know, that you kick on to the next game, and if he gets the last half an hour again, you know, but it was a lovely finish. I think he had a chance, if I recall correctly, he had a chance just before it where, yeah, it's one of those 50-50 ones. Could he have squared it to Dessers, or did he take the right option? I think if you can see the goals, I think it's no a ridiculous angle. I think I would always encourage somebody to shoot. So yeah, I was delighted for him. Lovely finish, and it put the game to bed finally, because I wasn't quite as relaxed as Scotty. I must confess, sitting there, I was thinking I can't face a extra time and penalties. I just want to get this game finished and get up the road, you know. But aye, well done, Ross McCausland.
And Ricky, all in all, you know, 2-0. It'd be nice to have got those goals a bit earlier, but good job done. We're in the next round. Good goal as well.
Yes, 2-0, and we move on. And there's some positives to take from it. As I know I've mentioned the negatives, apologise for that. But I think this is important to mention the negatives as the positives. For me, McCausland has started really, really bright. Another young lad comes through the youth system who has got a future for us if he keeps progressing as he is. Came on for Cherny quite late on, but I actually think he enhanced their play. Cherny might have knackered their full back out, but young McCausland had a field day when he came on. He had a great game. And as Carvy's already said, he's had a good start to the season. Another bright spark for us. So yeah, that right hand side is actually looking not too bad when you've got numbers. Barron, Dessers when he came on again. How good is Connor Barron's a fantastic young lad, isn't he? So there's another great positive. We seem to be getting a lot better out of Diomande, a bit more consistency out of Diomande because of Barron. And when you get Barron, Diomande, and Sterling, for me, is the middle three. I think we've got a great three there if we can keep them fit. And to have Raskin as the kind of backup when he's fit, a great backup for me. So it's not an area of the pitch that I'm concerned about. Some people are. As I've mentioned before, that number 10 sort of a slot, whether it's a Cantwell or the Hadji, I think that's an area which we could enhance if we can get the money to do so. Dessers, again, changed the game, and he's winning people over, including myself. But I just don't think the boy can be held accountable to be in his own, to be the man that's going to score the goals. Cortez, great player when we get him back. So there's lots and lots of positives for us going forward. It just, on the negative side there, Proper get injured and we bring on Davis, who's just not good enough. And going on to the kind of the incident that Scotty mentioned a bit earlier on there, just towards the end of the game there, Billy, it was a through ball. It sort of split 6 of our defenders. And then obviously Butland came out and he kind of stopped the shot from coming in, because he must have stopped it or blocked it, because if you look at the stats, he didn't actually make a single save on Saturday. So there's a couple of negatives, but yeah, 2-0, good victory, and lots of decent performances from players who will get better as we move on. So yeah, I'm happy with the 2-0, Billy. Yeah, it was good performance all round, I think.
Scotty, I'll come to you. I think I've read a comment just a bit further up. We're 4 or 5 players away from winning the league. Do you share that optimism?
I don't know. I keep going on about this narrative, Billy, and it's easily changed.
Yeah,
Need a number 6. Probably an half centre half and a striker, I would say. Maybe a winger on loan.
There's 5.
4. We're still really short in certain areas of the pitch. I mean, you could pick holes throughout the whole team. We still probably need a whole new starting 11, but it's not happening because one in, one out's the old motto on it. And personally, I only think that Cantwell's going to go and we're going to get one more in and possibly a loan. I don't think we're going to get many more than that. I think most of our business has been done, if I'm being honest. Smoke's just come in and said 3 quality players. I'm sorry, but I highly doubt it. I think where we're at is where we're at in terms of, if you go to Cammy with this question, he's going to say a 6. I know that for a fact. He's been wanting a Stephen Davis clone all summer, because that's what we need in the middle of the park. See if you get, that's the kind of probably the missing piece of the jigsaw. You'll get halfway Dessers and Danilo if Dessers keeps scoring goals, but it's the inconsistency that worries me. He's one bad match away for putting the narrative back on him that he's not a very good football player. But because he's scoring goals, he's papering over critics, etc. Just now, he's keeping me quiet. I'm probably his biggest critic. He's keeping me quiet because he's scoring. Wingers, do you just go away? Do you keep McCausland on the right? Do you keep the right hand side as it is? Cortez on the left, he's due back. I mean, we've only signed one winger all summer. Do you know what I mean? Hefty's been square peg, round hole, that type of thing, because he's naturally a left back. That's where he plays. So, there is an awful lot of work to get done, but I really don't think that it's going to get done. I think Abdallah Sima, I've seen a few questions in the comments tonight. I think Abdallah Sima is just, you'd be as well shutting that one out of your head because I can't afford them. It's plain and simple. See, unless we bring in 6 to 8 million for Cantwell, you're not going to get Sima. And we're not going to get that amount of money for Todd Cantwell either. But let's be honest about it. I would say one of the 10s out in a 6 in. That's probably what I'm going to go for. And potentially a loan. But ideally, you need to get rid of Matondo, Davis, Dibble. There's 4, 5, 6 players you could name off the top of your head that need to leave, but won't because of the wages they're on. So it's their own fault. We're in this situation thanks to mismanagement in previous years. So me wait and see how it all hangs out.
Well, Cammy, I'll come to you because Scotty name checked you for a number 6. I was just reading earlier on, I know it's just Twitter links, but we seem to be linked with another left back. I guess that's kind of putting to bed giving the chance to the youth if we're going to sign someone in for a temporary position.
It's an interesting one that it wouldn't be the first in the list of positions for me. You know, I've very, very early on when I'd done one of the post matches after pre-season, the spine of the side we've brought in proper. We need a sit. If worst case scenario, Cantwell and Hadji, that's the 2 players that I think have either asked to leave or have had conversations with the manager. You bring in a 6 and you bring in a 10. If we're going to persist with the situation, I think Connor Barron playing alongside Stephen Davis, Kenny McLean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say John Fleck, sign John Fleck, but somebody that's experienced and could actually just guide Barron, because he's a bit like the Duracell bunny. And I thought the game against Kiev, he was dead on his feet with 25 minutes to go because he had ran about that much. I think if you've got somebody next to you that can potentially calm and guide and that sort of thing, personally, I would only sign a number 10 if he's going to persist with a number 10. Ideally, you've got Barron and a new 6, and you push Diamande more advanced, or Diamande can almost come and play as a tight 3. But what are we? 19th. We've got 2 weeks to the window closes. I don't think there's so many things need fixed. It was never going to happen in one window. And I think that's the reality of the situation. The manager and Niels Koppen have inherited 3 years worth of poor recruitment, mismanagement, whatever you want to call it. All the guys that have had conversations with the manager, and I think he didn't name check them, but you don't need to be a rocket science to work out who he's talking about. They guys are on good money. That's not. You wouldn't leave a job to go somewhere else for less money. So we are suffering, and the manager and what he's got, the hand that he's been dealt, is because of poor decisions by Michael Beale, Ross Wilson, given 4-year contracts, 35 grand a week, all that sort of situation, you know. But I think, to get back to the original, the middle of the park for me, a number 6. Ideally, I would want another centre half, but in the last 2 weeks of the window, we need to get bodies out the door, because the wage bill, although the wage bill has been cut substantially this summer with the players that have went out the door, the wage bill's still too high, you know. And I think somebody said in the chat earlier on, there's probably about 80 grand a week not contributing at the moment. I mean, that's 4 starting players sort of situation. So if you can get that 80 grand used for players that are actually contributing, but the problem you've got is how long this goes on to the end of the window. You know, we just have to just try and trust what's going on behind the scenes, and see where we are come the end of it.
Billy, can I come back in quickly?
Aye, mate, on you go.
See, just if you look at it in context, in terms of our outgoings, we've had the 6 that left through freedom of contract, and we've sold Glamours and Goldson. That's all we've done. We've not done anything else on top of that. Do you know what I mean? I know that's eight out, but how many of them out of contract players would probably still be in if they still had another year left in their deal? Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of worrying part for me, is the lack of movement out the door. I don't think a club can do any more, but they need to find something. They need to find something to do. See if we can get rid of Ben Davies and Kieran Dibble. That's much better going into January than what it is having all these guys stacked up.
Ricky, you want to come in?
Yeah, it was just, I mean, I brought this out last week, didn't I? When you add Matondo to that, and then we're upwards of £180,000 a week in players at Ibrox that are not contributing. I had the list all written down last week. That's just, I mentioned it, £10 million a season in wages for players that's not contributing. So, you know, that's a serious food for thought. That's how we're in a situation at the moment, which Scotty's, you know, alluded to. But one thing I want to sort of, we need to remember we've still got a Agami still to come back into this setup. Now, again, I've mentioned this as well. Morocco were third in the World Cup previously, so they're a good football nation now. And in the recent Olympics, they got the bronze medal. He is part of that under-23 squad, albeit he was injured, he couldn't be there. So he's definitely a football player. We just need to be patient. And there's another striker there who could just explode, 21 years of age, could explode and be, wow, where's this boy came from? We live in hope, I know, but there's every reason to be optimistic about Agami when we do get him ready to play. And going against what Scotty was saying there, I personally believe Seema will be at Ibrox by next Friday. Personally, because I think Brighton are in a situation now where they are forced to either sell. He can sign a contract in January to go wherever he wants to, and Brighton will lose everything. He's only got a year left to go, Cammy. So, and the boy wants to come to Ibrox. So Rangers have got a good upper hand here when dealing with Brighton. If Seaver digs his heels in and sits in their reserves, he can sign with us as a pre-contract come January, and we'll get him for nothing next season. Hence why I think Brighton will utilise some sort of a deal for him to come to us on loan, perhaps, but they want a little bit of money. But it's not going to be the kind of 7-8 million that I think Scotty's alluding to, because people won't pay that for Seema because he's not even in their squad at Brighton. So I think we've got a great chance of getting Seema by next Friday. Personally,
I really don't think we've got any money. We've not got any money, mate. That's the harsh reality of where we're at. We've not got any money to go and even afford a loan fee for Abdallah Seema. That's genuinely how I feel as a Rangers fan just now. I think we've got our handcuffs on, and I think we're just, this is it for me.
Well, it brings me on to what I was saying earlier on, Scott. I mean, you and I were talking about last week. I worked out all the names. It's £187,000 a week for players that are not contributing. Your Hadjis, your Cantwells, and you add them all up, your Davises, your Matondos, right? You know, all these players that are just not good enough for us at the moment. And I had Tav in there as well at 30,000 a week. You know, that's £10 million a season for players who just we need to replace.
Aye, but they're on still there. That's my point. they're all still there in the club. So
I agree.
unless 3 or 4 of them go out, I don't think Seamus coming.
Well, we've got a couple of weeks left of the transfer window, guys. We'll see what happens. Ricky, if you're right, if your hunch that will be here by next Friday is correct, I'll be happy. I'll be happy with that. But I tend to think in the back of my head, I'm more leaning to the way Scotty's thinking. With if there was money there, we would have been done. Things would have been done. More would have been done by now, I think. But hey ho. Anyway, well, thanks for the chat, everyone tonight. Cammy, thanks a lot for coming on, mate. Good to hear from you.
No problem. It's been good chat as ever.
Thank you very much. Ricky, yourself, thanks again for coming on.
No, it's a pleasure. I really enjoyed it, Guy. And it's good to sort of have this general chat about where we are. And I think things are looking better than it was a couple of weeks ago, definitely. So let's be positive about that. Back to Ibrox shortly. Great news.
That's it. Scotty, you missed the chat at the beginning about the getting back to Ibrox. So let me get a quick opinion on that. I guess it can't come soon enough.
Sooner or better, Billy. Sooner or better. I think once we're back to Ibrox, everybody's this kind of period we're in just now, soon to be to back everybody's minds. I think we just all want to get home, to be honest with you, mate.
Can you plug the pod for us then, mate, before we go?
Plug it pod?
Plug the pod. You like and subscribe, chat.
Oh, aye. Everybody like and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. I wasn't all set up for this, Billy. I've not got a plan in mind.
sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, you're fine. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Wednesday at 6:30. Thursday at 9. Friday at 6 o'clock this week. I've got basically turn on your notifications and you'll see what I've got. I've got a rough idea in my head, but it's not done on in terms of topic shit, but we will get to it. Thanks, everybody.
So is it 9:30? Did you say tomorrow, Scotty? Aye.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So I knew it. Anyway, yeah. Please join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We'll go over another subject all to do with Rangers. But all it leaves me to say is thank you to my co-panelists. Thank you for all the comments we've had. Thank you for everybody that's been watching. And remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night. Good night.